Oh. Oh. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om and greetings from Niagara Falls. Why do you wake up? That's me presuming that you do wake up, that you're awake now. Why do you wake up? You can tell me philosophically, you can tell me technically, whatever you want. Share in the chat. For many, it's random, yes? To fulfill my vasanas, to be productive. It's your nature. These are good answers. The technical answer, as some of you have shared, it is to fulfill your karma. It is to engage in your responsibilities so you feel more fulfilled. And the fulfillment of karma helps us to shift from being dependently joyous to independently joyous. So I wake up to fulfill my karmas, to feel independently joyous. Is that clear for all? Okay. A simpler word that encompasses all of this. Why do we wake up? For sadhana. Sadhana is a means, sadhya is the ends. I wake up to follow the means to the ends. Everyone's still clear? Okay. Can you show me what you do sadhana with? What do you do sadhana with? And you're all pointing to your minds because you're all astute students. But the mind needs an equipment to express through. So we do sadhana through this sharira. Whether it's likita japa or vachika japa, it's through this sharira. And where I'm going with this, how does this body survive? What does it survive on? The earth, no? The earth supports my body, which supports my sadhana, which leads me to being independently joyous. The survival of this body specifically depends on air, fire, water, and earth. That will come up again and again. We generally call the earth as Prithvi. And this is why in our workshop, we are calling that which is helping the body to survive as our environment. Built into the word environment is the word ni. Yes? This is not a functional matter. This is a fundamental matter. These elements, our environment, this is not optional. We need this in a fundamental way, and so we should have an equivalent relationship. And that is why our workshop is our environment in reference to our Shastra. The word Shastra has the etymology or the meaning of Shasana. Shasana means to guide, to be guided. Our Shastra on our environment, what is the guidance to live in and with our environment? Shasana, this guidance, is for there to be a mutual benefit. Guidance is, I give to you to support you, and you give back to support me. There's a mutual benefit. Do you feel like society is living like that right now? Where there's a mutual benefit to society and air, fire, water, earth, Prithvi, our environment. I keep bringing up air, fire, water, earth. Earth is being tormented by water. Correct? Ocean levels are rising. Earth is being tormented by fire. There are heat waves and wildfires everywhere. Earth is being tormented by air. Typhoons and tornadoes everywhere. Our environment wasn't like this historically. This is a phenomenon, and unfortunately, this has now become the established phenomenon. Back in the day, people, society, they lived in harmony, shasana, with the environment. And this is what we're tuning into right now. Precedent. This is how people lived, and we can follow the same. Don't we do that with the law in terms of abortion laws or hate crimes? What is the precedent on this? This history will help us with the future. So we're doing the same because how we're living is not working out. Let's check in with history. Overall, this is called sadachara. Sat achara. That means one's lifestyle is aligned with a vision of equality, mutual benefit. Is everyone with me? Is this practical enough? I don't want this to just be poetry where I keep using more and more and more words. That's called tautology, correct? Repetitive words. Okay. Being specific, the first Shastra that we will reference is the most authoritative in our culture, and that is the Upanishad. The Upanishad. I am taking us to Chandogya Upanishad. This is the Prapataka number 6. The Khanda number 3, mantra number 1. Putting this in English, section 6, chapter 3, verse 1. Okay? I'm going to read this out to you. Tesham kalvesham bhutana trimyeva bijani bhavantyandajam jivajam Udbijam iti. What our Shastras share in reference to our environment, Tesham kalvesham bhutanam, life is expressed in beings. How so? Kalu trinyeva bijani. Life is only expressed in three forms. What are these three forms? And this is so beautiful. Bhavanti. This happens through andajam. Happens through an egg. Jivajam. Happens through a womb. Udbijam happens through breaking ground. Iti. This is how life expresses. Understood? It is fairly straightforward. What history has taught us is that life expresses through three manifestations. Through seeds, eggs, and wombs. Okay? This is the simplified version of this verse. Now I'll focus on the implication. Life is of the nature of existence, awareness, and joy. Existence, awareness, joy. Life is. We are living. All that's around us is living. That's all functional. But the functional must have a foundation that is life. No one has ever experienced their non-existence. No one has ever experienced their non-awareness because that is fundamental, that is foundational. So life is of the nature of existence, awareness, joy. And I just specified we haven't experienced our non-existence, our non-awareness. The implication of that is that life is infinite. That means everything you see is of the nature of life. Everything you're touching is of the nature of life. Do you agree? Do you feel that? Every article, every being, every circumstance, articles like this pen, circumstances like the weather outside, and beings like us, we all have the same ability. We all have the same ability, but we do not all have the same capability. What is the difference between ability and capability? Share with me. What do you think the difference between ability and capability is? More repetitive words, correct? More poetry. But in philosophy, they're different. Output, resources, skills, and strength. Good. Capability is how much of that ability have you captured? How much of that ability have you expressed? Is there existence here in this pen? Yes or no? Is there existence in me as me? Yes. Is there awareness in this pen? Is there awareness in this pen? Yes, no went to yes. What if I ask again? That will happen. Back to no. Is there awareness in this pen? Do you all see the hypocrisy by which you're thinking, where you just shared, and I know you do share, that infinity is? Tell me, what's exclusive of infinity? Are you telling me this pen is exclusive of infinity? This pen also is of the nature of awareness and joy, but can express this like I can, like you can. Is the difference clear or no? Okay, I'll give you one more physical example. When you look at me, are my cheeks shining? Now you don't know. Do I say yes or no? Are my glasses shining? Yes. The light that's in front of me is falling equally on my cheeks and my glasses, but my cheeks don't have the capability to reflect that light. My glasses, because of the material they're made out of, plastic, and glass, they can reflect that. Clear? So stones, plants, animals, humans, all have the same ability. What is that ability? Existence, awareness, joy. What do we call that? Life. But not all of these entities can express in the same way. And that's why our social scientists, our rishis have shared, it doesn't matter what way one is born, whether a seed or an egg or a womb, the ability is the same. Now, what are we supposed to do with this? What is the application of this? I'm going to give you a case study. How are humans born? Between these three, how are humans born? Are you born from a seed, as in you broke through the ground? Did you crack through an egg? Or were you born from a womb? I like how some people are answering this. We are all born from a womb. What do humans depend on to survive in terms of nourishment? What do we have to eat to survive? Now share with me. What do we have to eat? We have to eat plants, correct? And how are plants born? Through seeds. Yes, every plant is born through a seed. Correct? Now, tell me, how do plants spread? How do plants get fertilized? These are disappearing now. Bees, correct. And how are bees born? Through eggs. Whoa, or not whoa yet. Those who are born from a womb depend on that which is born from a seed, which depends on that which is born from an egg. See how intricately intertwined all of this is? That we all depend on each other. I was looking into bees more. 90% of the world's nourishment is pollinated by bees. 90%. In 1947, there were, just in America, 6 million beehives. 1947. Let's say 75 years ago. Tell me, how many beehives do you think were in America in 2008? Obviously, this study I read is not so recent. From 1975, 47 to 2008, from 6 million to what? How many beehives? Take a guess. $1 million, 3 million, 2.4 million. In a matter of 75 years, the number of beehives in America went down by 1/3. Now, I don't even want to imagine what has happened from 2008 to 2022. I'm sure that decline is exponential. What do you think the two dominant reasons beehive destruction is happening? Two dominant reasons. Yeah, you all got it. habitat loss. Who do you think is taking their habitat? Wolves. The wolves are taking down the bees. Humans. And pesticides. Do you think seagulls use pesticides on those bees? So who are we harming? When we harm whatever is born, who's really being harmed? Finally, we are, right? In yesterday's workshop, there was a lovely insight that the earth will go on, but the beings on earth, they're the ones who are not going to go on. The earth has been around for billions of years and will continue to be around for billions of years. Trying to spin this to the positive. Whatever you depend on, what should your relationship be with what you depend on? What kind of relationship should you have with that? It should be a relationship of serving, reciprocity, so good. I use the word shasana, which is mutual benefit. I'll simplify this to support. Whatever you depend on, you should support. And tell me, who taught all of this? The rishis, no? How long ago did they teach all of this? We don't know. It is ancient. This has always been the way. Okay, one more reference from our Upanishad, our Shastra and our environment. What is the guidance on how to live harmoniously with the environment? To support, number one, to support that which is born from a seed, from an egg, from a womb. We'll move to Mundaka Upanishad. Chandogya Upanishad, 631. Now Mundaka Upanishad. This is the second Mundaka. That means section. The first Kanda, that is chapter, and the seventh mantra or verse, 217. Tasmacha deva bahuda samprasutaha sadhya manushyaha pashavo vayamsi pranapanau vrihiyavvo tapascha shraddha satyam brahmacharyam vidischa. I'll share again. I'll translate all of this. Tasmat, from life. Just like Chandogya Upanishad said, life manifests in these types of birth. Here, life expresses as devaha. That means the semi-gods. Bahuda samprasutaha, and they're born in different ways. Sadhyaha, that means powerful beings. Manushyaha, humans. Pashavaha, animals. Vayamsi, birds. And I'll pause there. What the Upanishad is trying to share with us in this verse, just this first line of this verse, is that life expresses as different types of beings. Semi-gods to birds. For those who are analyzing this in terms of a framework, when we think of the 5 debts that we're born with, one of them is bhutarina, that is nature's beings. Okay? I continue with this second line now. What do nature's beings depend on? Prana pano. That would be air, correct? Vrihiyavau, that essentially is vegetation or earth. And tapaha means that which burns, so fire. So all of nature's beings depend on air and earth and fire. What element is missing here? Water. That's implied. Coming back to the debts, what is the first debt that we all owe? It's called Deva Rina, correct? The debt to nature's forces. What do nature's forces support? Nature's beings. Between these two verses, what I've tried to share with everyone, first we zoomed in. We thought about our own life, that we were born from a womb, but we depend on that which is born from a seed, and that depends on what was born from an egg. Clear? Now we're expanding. It's not just about humans. It's about birds and animals. It's about beings in different dimensions, like those who are more powerful, those who are semi-gods. But finally, all of these entities depend on air and earth and fire and water, which we described as Prithvi, our environment. So how should we live? And this is the last quarter, with Shraddha. Tell me in the chat, what does Shraddha mean? Shraddha, faith, good. Satyam, English word for Satyam, truth. Brahmacharyam, Brahmacharya, good. Because I was waiting for one of you to write celibacy. That's how you help the environment. And Vidhi, I don't know if all of you know what Vidhi means. Anyone want to try what Vidhi means? Good. Not so good. There's some good answers and there's some less good answers. Vidhi means dues or guidance or values. Okay. Let me focus on the implication of all of this. Please remember why we're gathering right now. Because if we don't gather the way we are, 10 years from now, there'll be no gathering for anyone. Our earth will either be drowned or burned. And if there's no earth, remember, there's no body. If there's no body, there's no discipline. If there's no discipline, there's no joy. All of us are students of Vedanta. We have to think, what is helping us to pursue independent joy? It is our environment. Our rishis have taught us sadachara, to have a lifestyle, to live in a mutual beneficiary way, a mutual beneficial way. In this mantra, there are specifics that are given, starting with Shraddha. Have faith. How does one have faith? By reflecting on history, on what our guides have taught us more practically or experientially. When you reflect on what's important in life, it is not measurable. Can you prove to me that your parents love you? Can you prove that? Is there evidence? Some of you are thinking, yeah, I don't think my parents did love me or don't love me. See, love is beyond measure, correct? How can you measure that? So when our rishis share that life expresses as this, this, and this, you can't measure that. Those who don't reflect, they want evidence. But anything that's important is not measurable. Love is one, faith is a one, trust is one. Can you measure trust? You can't. So with that Shraddha, that life is expressing through our environment. The life that's expressing through me is also expressing through our environment, satya. Satya means to be secure with how you're going to support your environment. Even if everyone else is not, you are going to. We keep thinking, someone else will look after the environment. Why do I have to do that? That's a sign of insecurity. If you know this to be right, do it then. Satya means non-compromising. No one else in your neighborhood recycles, so I'm not going to recycle either. The expression of the mind is vikalpa, one who is easily pressured. The expression of the intellect is sankalpa, the one who lives by an ideal. So with the faith that life is expressing in our environment, satya, I will support our environment. What is a way we can do this? Brahmacharya. Brahmacharya means non-indulgence. Brahmacharya is I'm only going to live on what I need. I'm only going to live on what I need. I will only take from the earth what I need. See how intense that word brahmacharya is? And the last is vidhi, which means values. Brahmacharya and vidhi go together. Brahmacharya, I will not live for valuables. Vidhi, I will live for values. See how our rishis were environmentalists. These mantras are amazing. And I went through so many Upanishads. I was like, I have to tell all of these. But I've already crossed 32 minutes just talking about 2 mantras. 2. There's 100,000 mantras in our Veda. So undoubtedly, Shasana, there is guidance on how to live in a beneficial way with our environment. From discourse to dynamics. We'll have dynamics for 10-ish minutes, and then we'll complete this evening's workshop with any questions you have, a dialogue. The first part of your dynamics, as all of us are preparing for Mahashivratri, Bhagwan Shiva's birthday. And Bhagwan Shiva, he's more of a partier, which is why his birthday is celebrated at night, unlike Bhagwan Rama. So what is everyone going to be doing? They're going to be offering puja. What I want you to do when I say, I want you to go to your altar, go to your puja room, and I want you to write down everything that is not made of earth. And I mean that directly. What is not directly made from earth, meaning it's not clay, it's not stone. If it's made out of clay and stone, don't write it. If it's made of anything else, and metal is also included, but if it's made of anything else, write it down. Really, I'm telling you, is there plastic at your altar? Is there plastic in your puja room? Clear? That's the first part of your dynamic. So get up, go to your altar, go to your puja room, and write down what is not natural. I'm waiting. All of you have come back early. It's because you don't have an altar, correct? I appreciate how focused all of you are. You're sitting, you're taking notes, no one's eating, no one's preparing a meal. That's a great sign of how much you care for the environment. Okay, please share in the chat when you looked at your altar in a different way, when you looked at your puja room in a different way. What should be there should be made out of stone or clay or metal, meaning it came from the earth directly. It can go back to the earth directly. Please share. What in your puja room is not made out of this? What do you have there? The chandan was in a plastic box. We probably all have the same chandan in that small yellow container. Yes, plastic photo frames. Glass is not great, but it's still okay. For the kumkum and akshata, that's right. That's all coming in plastic, stored in plastic. Oil is the same way, and that plastic is thick. So even more plastic went into that. The garland, probably a plastic, like a fishing line of some sort. And some of our icons too, probably made of the same material. Is that all helping the environment or hurting the environment? I was trying to think of an analogy to this. It would be like me yelling at someone that you should be patient. See, we're doing this for our environment, but we're doing it by hurting the environment, correct? Yesterday, I had shared that avidya is ignoring or taking for granted. Taking for granted even our altars, our puja rooms. Okay, let's go to the next part of our dynamics. What else is going to happen for Mahashivratri? Puja and offerings. On Mahashivratri, people offer coconuts, people offer milk, etc. I want us to think as a community of how we can make offerings in a non-material way. Understood? Where there's no harm to our environment. So I'm going to put out a scenario. You share in the chat what is the best way to make an offering, to offer a gift for this scenario. Clear? Here's your first. What is the best non-material gift that you can offer a child? Suppose you were invited to a child's birthday. What can you give them that will not harm the environment, rather will help the environment? Playtime, a book. We have to be careful about hugs. It depends on how close you are to them, correct? So think universally. Seeds. That is a great idea. Keep thinking, everyone. Used books, definitely. Food, I doubt that child that child needs more food. If it's their birthday, they have too much. You should take food. That's the gift that you should give them. Go to their home and take food from them. Sing a song for them. That's great. A fun experience. Gardening, and some of you talked about time. Wonderful. Okay, here's your next scenario. What is the best non-material gift you can give a teenager, a youth? So stop saying hug. Okay, they're just going to push you back. Stop saying sing a song. Your time, listening, yes. Listen to their music with them. Offer to drive them somewhere. Hanging out. Skiing, kayaking, playing with them. Do you do all of this when it's a child's birthday? Do you do that? Giving a gift for a teenager, do you do that? Why not? Again, I'm pointing out our avidya, correct? From our altars to our offerings. Okay, here's the next one. What is a gift you can give to someone who's retiring from a professional setting? They're retiring from a professional setting. Suppose you work with them or whatever it is, you serve with them. What can you give? Have tea with them, give them plants. That's a great idea. A list of organizations where they can volunteer. A vote of gratitude. Give them words. Exercise time. This is what's going to happen to you, so I'm preparing you in advance. A lot of what you're offering is going to insult them. Exercise with them. Give them your kids to babysit. Wow, such deep reflections from everyone. I'd like to take that up too. Anyone retiring? Okay, some more scenarios. Recently in our community, there was a birth of a baby girl. What is a gift you can give to a family with a newborn? Non-material, that will not harm or take from the environment. Meals, a lot of meals. Security, so they can sleep. Good, good. So much of what you're sharing revolves around time. Do you have time to give? I'm trying to point out again, we're saying so many things. You keep telling me I talk in poetry. Here, everything we're saying is about giving time. Who has time to give? Which is why we go back to taking from the environment. Sadachara, my lifestyle needs to be slower then, where I have time for the environment. Okay, another scenario, someone getting married. What is the best non-material gift? Because aren't there like first anniversary, you should give something with wood, and 10th anniversary, something with like, I don't know, gold. See how material it is? Who came up with all of this? It wasn't our rishis. Condolences. Okay. A sapling, pay their student loans. Good, good. Cooking classes, yes. Anyone else? And see the nature of our culture. Like if someone on my wedding gave me lessons to cooking classes, like I would be insulted by that, even though I wouldn't, but really I may be insulted by that, correct? Anyone else? Okay, here's one more scenario. A graduation. Someone has graduated from whatever. What is a gift you can give them? Free therapy. Now the real world begins. Photography session. Wow. A journal. Straight up cash. I won't buy it for you, but you can buy it for you. The dynamics are really a collective practice in reflecting more. Okay? So I've shared 2 mantras from our Upanishad on how we can live in harmony with our environment. We've gone through 2 dynamics that even though it's an altar, we annotate, we make exceptions that this is okay, even though it's not okay. And another about offerings. Are our offerings short-term or are they long-term? We'll complete our workshop with a dialogue. If anyone has any questions overall or about the mantras, anything else I've shared, please ask. You can virtually put your hand up. You can type your question in the chat if that's preferred. Any reflections from yesterday, from today, you can virtually put your hand up and you can share verbally, or you can share in the chat. Yeah, Nina, ask or share.
This is Hariom Vivekji, Hariom everyone. This is a question that one of our chicks shared during Power Hour today. He was reflecting on yesterday's session and was asking for guidance on how to hold this tension between a very dire global situation and then maintaining hope.
Mm-hmm.
So if Vivekji would have any thoughts to share on that.
Understood. How does one be hopeful and realistic? The realism is the world is in a rough shape right now, politically, environmentally. Yet everything relating to Vedanta, this workshop, Meaningful Mornings, is all about hope. It's about betterment. So how do you align those? I'm going to start with the lower perspective. Our journey to joy is an independent journey. Your evolution does not directly contribute to my evolution and vice versa. If a guru gets enlightened, that doesn't mean the shishya does. If a shishya gets enlightened, that doesn't mean a guru does. Knowing that this is an independent journey, you should do your best. Even if no one else is doing their best, you should do your best. And that's why I keep sharing all of these different ways, and our crew keeps sharing different ways, as simple as unplugging your devices when you're not using them, taking a cold shower. Imagine everyone receives this message and practices it, but they're just doing it by themselves. Your showers are by yourself, your devices are by yourself. But if everyone does that, that's a huge impact that just this group of people has. And then if you're an ambassador of Prithvi Seva Sangha, that spreads to your classes and to your cities. So you do your best, irrespective of what everyone else is doing. But naturally what will happen is they will also be affected by that. I think this is something like mirror neurons, where when I'm doing something, you can feel it, and vice versa. The higher perspective. In Sanatana Dharma, creation is cyclical. That means creation has come up and creation will go down, but all of our vasanas or prints, they are not going to be erased. Knowing that, even if creation is going down, the way that I'm thinking and the way I'm acting is still going to be retained. I should not be joyous or sorrowful because of the context. I should continue to focus on my content, that if there's war going on around me, I should not stop my sadhana. If there's heat waves everywhere, I should not stop my sadhana. Because I still have to be, I have to transcend all of this. So do your best. That was my lower perspective. My higher perspective is content is greater than context. Okay? Any other questions? Any other reflections from anyone? Okay, you can ask away. I'm going to shift to our rad and some announcements. But if you have anything, you can share. And I'm getting a message right now, and I can't validate this, but in our group right now, there's a seeker. Her name is Meenakshi. And Meenakshi is the founder of Puvidam. That is the cause that we're supporting right now. So Meenakshi ji, if you're, I don't know what time it is, I think you're in Bharat, but if you're there and you can hear me, we would like to hear what you have to share about why you've dedicated your life to doing what you're doing. So I'm inviting you to share if you can. So we'll wait on you. And I will tend to Pooja's question, and then I'll get into our rad. Meenakshi ji, you've unmuted yourself. Yes?
Yes. Thank you, Vivek ji. Thank you so much for inviting me to share my story. I'll keep it very short. So I have not dedicated myself to the environment. Like, I really so much enjoyed what you spoke. I have dedicated my life to myself because I have realized much earlier that only if I really care about myself can I care about anything else. And I wanted to give myself clean food, clean water, and clean air. Like you said about our body, if I have to act through the body, and I have to keep it healthy. And so that was the reason why I moved to a rural space. And then I realized that, we have to do a lot more. It's not just that you can grow your food. The environment is so depleted right now that how much ever you do, it is not enough. And it's not just for me. Then I have to take care of my kids and the kids around and the animals. And then as you keep doing, the joy that keeps coming is immense and you can't stop yourself. So that's what has happened.
That's awesome, Meenakshi ji, and we're very happy that you have done what you've done with your life, and we all aspire to live like that to an extent. And what we're going to do, at least in the short term, is to support the work you're doing financially. So thank you for doing what you're doing and for joining us also.
Thank you.
There are two more questions I'm going to tend to very quickly. What do we do with existing non-environmental friendly stuff at the altar? Number one, don't accept anything for your altar that doesn't inspire you. Say no. Suppose we met each other and I gave you something and you're like, no, this is not going to go to my altar. Then just politely share that. Your altar should be as precious as your lungs are. You would never put anything into your lungs that will damage your lungs. So our altar should be the same way, with that level of intimacy. Next is, if you have something, give it to someone who's less sensitive about that being environmentally friendly. As an example, there's been a few times when Sheila has gone grocery shopping, she's bought something and later realized it contains meat. So we're not going to eat that. So instead of throwing it out, there's someone who helps at the ashram who does eat meat. So we call him and say, we have this and we're not going to eat it. Would you like it? And he takes it then, right? It suits his personality. It doesn't suit ours. So in the end, there's less wastage. And finally, recycle it. If you can't recycle it, dispose of it. But while you're doing it, remember the divine saying that I'm doing this so I can become closer to you. Makes sense. Your altar should be clean and simple and inspiring. Why? So you feel closer to the divine, that life I talked about. So why are you disposing of this? To be closer to that life. Okay? Now, some of you are thinking in your mind, but that's why we have plastic icons and plastic pictures, but you're more mature than that, correct? We're trying to internalize this. What is exact lifestyle according to the Veda? Our Veda is not about do's and don'ts. Children need do's and don'ts. Vyasa, lift up the toilet seat when you pee. Do it. Right? He's 4.5 years old. He needs that do and don't. But as you mature, it should be responsible. And so, for 100 hours, this entire 4 days, we can keep on going through, do these things, don't do these things. But you see how our rishis have taught us Shraddha, Satya, Brahmacharya, Vidhi. If you love yourself, as Meenakshi ji put, then you will also love your environment. Because they depend on each other, correct? My sadhana depends on my sharira, which depends on my prithvi. Okay? Here's your rad. I want you to visualize that you can have a dialogue with our mother. Imagine our mother, Prithvi Mata, has an interview with all of us, one by one. You have to reflect on and tell her, are you a friend of the environment or are you a foe to the environment? Are you providing net help to the environment or net harm to the environment? If you were to die today, was the world a better or worse place because of you? So have that interview with your mother. That's your rad. Intense, no? A few announcements. You all got to hear Meenakshi ji. And now I'm looking at your homes. I'm looking at my home and how comfortably we're sitting right now and how hard she's working to make sure others are comfortable generation by generation. Please continue to support our environmental cause that we're working on right now. And please don't be that person that says someone else will do it. Isn't that how society is working right now in terms of the environment? Someone else will do it. Another generation will look after this. That's called annotating. Remember in Meaningful Mornings? Annotating is when I feel I'm an exception. I've already given, or I know Vivekji, so it's okay. I give him my thoughts. I don't need your thoughts. I have enough in my head. Tomorrow, when we focus on Bhagavatam as our Shastra on our environment, I would like for all of you to have a plate and a candle. Not a diya. I'm specifically saying candle. A plate and a candle. And part of your usage of this will be us celebrating Mahashivratri together in a meaningful way. And the day after that, I'll tell you what we're going to do more tomorrow, but you're going to go outside. Okay? So make sure that you have your whatever apparel you need to go outside handy, okay? It's not for half an hour, you go to your closet and you find this and so on. Have it handy. That's when we're going to focus on Bhagavad-Gita on our environment. Upanishad, Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-Gita. If you have any questions, if you have any reflections, write to our team. I will commune with all of you tomorrow. Sarve bhavantu sukinaha, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be joy.